Hello, so good morning, everybody. I'm hoping that you can hear me and coming across strong. This is going out to YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. Hope I got that right. Um, anyway, so what am I here to talk about? I'm here to raise the question: why not being confident is a good thing, or is not being confident a good thing? This is really important for simple reasons. Basically, I've just come off some training from doing my level 3 in counselling skills, and something I think it's really interesting that we seem to want to always rationalize, which is good by the way, rationalize the unconfidence in us. So I don't feel confident. I don't feel like I can go for that job position. I don't feel like I can, do that mile run. I can't, I just can't do it. No, you've got the confidence. You have got confidence. Find ourselves constantly to each other that confidence. And I think from my on a train, Rogers, the founder of personal led counselling, the attempt really to increase confidence in people, whether it's you're a teacher, you're a counsellor, you're a psychologist, or like me, a full, I've been a teacher before and I'm training to become a counsellor, developing a new counselling approach, as it were. We need confidence, yes. Not being confident, I think, is really profound and it's really good because how can we be confident in everything? I know I'm not asking that direct question, but why not being confident is a good thing is because the learning that takes process in whatever age group or whatever setting you've got is rational to you. We have a thing in counselling where we encourage our clients to learn to rationalize your thoughts. That's the reason why we go to counseling, because we are struggling with something. Okay, we are struggling with something, and we're either stressed, we've got anxiety, panic attacks, even PTSD. So the human brain, it heals through talking. Okay, hence talking therapies. But we can get ourselves through emotional intelligence, okay, through time and practice, understanding our emotions, to get to our place where we recognize and rationalize, okay, I want to learn to become a doctor, for instance, and I know I just feel not confident in that area because my academic, qualifications are not very good, but I really want to retry and it's an area that really excites me. So in that pathway sense, for instance, you've got to make a subjective choice whether you want to encourage yourself, whether you've got your emotional intelligence is high enough to recognize that you can increase your confidence through time, make the application, or you've got to pick up a phone and phone a friend to get that confidence. Okay, there are multiple different challenges, so we say, that we face in our lifetime, good and bad. Okay, that will allow us to either increase or decrease our confidence. But when you rationalize all of that, okay, in my attempt to anyway, we get to a level where, okay, it's a self belief system, right? So, how do we increase our self belief system? Because why is it in the human world that we always seem to need, and science has proven this through PTSD sufferers, that we need an empathetic person, okay, to help us heal when we talk about problems, because that's the idea of talking therapies. Now, can we consciously create a sense for ourselves? Of course we can all day. What's the reason why we brush our day? Because we don't, and it's not good for us. And through that learning process from our parents, in an ideal world, we can take that even further. We can expand and we can show what you can become a doctor. Okay, you can become a doctor because you got through university, even though your grades weren't great, but you've shown and demonstrated your ability to push through, understand, study, go to the library. But the trick is, I'm telling you that now in a mock situation. You've got to train this up here in your own conscious being, your emotional intelligence, to train yourself to increase that confidence within you. Now, I've got doubts in my life. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. That is the unknown, as it were, the fear of the unknown. And that is a strong part of not being confident because it is the fear of the unknown. But in actual fact, the learning process and the amount of active learning and the hidden learning, even that we embark on when we go through a challenge because we feel we're not confident. You know, for instance, for example, I've always felt and wondered what it would be like to do the London Marathon. Now I know I've got a long term. My ankles are not great because I'm an ex-reservist and I've got flat feet and I've done some injuries and I don't know whether my body can take the impact. But if I build that fear continuously, am I ever going to be able to do the London Marathon? As well as the application process is quite difficult to get in, but I've already put two barriers in there. So, and I think when you're learning to become a counsellor, you're going to go. I'm sure I will go through this. The doubts of can I be a good counsellor? And the only reason I'm extending my research in this area, and maybe I will have some clients, I don't know yet, is because my GP has said, look, you be an excellent counsellor. So I did need somebody else to trigger me on. It's not that I didn't have the confidence to become a counsellor per se. I just never thought of it before. But in actual fact, a lot of teachers do become counsellors. Okay, that just happens. So sometimes, and I think it goes back to when I was a teacher because I see a lot of my students back then, years ago, when I was teaching, especially with those students that didn't have English as their first language. They lacked a lot of confidence, especially when it comes to presentation skills. If it was part of the assessment, they were really shaking. They just, they could tell. And I tried to install as much confidence as I could within my students and give them feedback, give them mock lessons, and encourage them to be to be you. And sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. I mean, it's easy for someone to sit down and sort of like coach them, but you've got to work on that fear within yourself because if you don't overcome the anxiety, which is not an issue, because in the end you'll probably get it, then your anxiety could even increase because you've told yourself, look, I've got to do this presentation for my assessment. And even now, still to this day, in universities around the world, there are lots and lots of assessments done on presentation skills and their presentation. So confidence in students is something that us as teachers, we try to install. But when we get into the big wide world, how much support are we giving ourselves as managers to our staff members, for instance? I know this feed is going out to LinkedIn, and we can all say, look, we're a really good team. We egg each other on. We put our arms around each other. We know all about empathy, but in hindsight, you can't always be there for your staff members 24/7 because we're all really independent learners. And I think that by not being confident and in certain areas is okay because that's how human life works. It's just that we have to understand where those fears are coming from in order to decrease that anxiety, which is more about emotional intelligence. But that's why I think that why not being confident is a good thing because eventually you'll go through those anxieties that are really a wider part of your lifetime learning. And I think that there is so much out there in this world where we tell ourselves, look, and it's installed within us. Really, I just don't have the confidence. I just don't. I would openly admit that since I gave up myself as don't teach anymore because of my epilepsy. My epilepsy is a battle. It's a long-term condition. It's a rare type of epilepsy called non-epileptic attack disorder. And I've lost a lot of my confidence in a number of ways because I've had a lot of seizures, sadly, that have been out in the public, and I've had a recent seizure, and it's a lot for me to deal with. But sitting here and speaking to you about it, my confidence increases because I know I'm talking about it. So even though you're not talking back to me, I'm healing through this video on its own. So, and that's the thing, when you battle long-term conditions, it's very difficult trying to get people to understand what you're going through. And I don't think that's always the right path, because the right path for me, certainly, and even doctors, GPs, psychologists don't know enough about this condition. It's very complex. It's for me to work out and say, you know what, okay, I'm I feel okay today. I don't really want to talk to my friends. In actual fact, sometimes I don't, okay, because I do so much on social media. I'm trying to slow down a bit, but it is difficult trying to find that pathway where you feel you've lost confidence, for instance, like me, through a long term mental health condition, or we just step into the unknown because maybe, for instance, we just want to go for that job promotion and we don't feel confident. And yeah, more often than not, we need somebody else to sit in front of us to say, you know what, I believe in you, believe in yourself, kind of motivational speech. But we need more than that in our lifetime. And I think that's okay, because the learning experiences, the micro learning, as it were, when we go through each of those episodes of learning that strength or weakness, okay, however we look at it at the time, is good for us. Okay. I'm only 45, I'm a middle aged male, and I'm at a point in my life where I know kind of what's in front of me. I know um, my battle with epilepsy is ongoing. I've accepted that, but I've opened up new and more doors recently in terms of my research, and I'm trying to make a decision whether I want to be an active counsellor, or I just want to use it for my research and write a big book about it or something. I don't know. And that for me is a good thing because I've got a choice. So even though my long term condition is affecting my confidence in some areas, I've allowed it to develop me into something else. And that's a good thing for me. And I feel confident. So, but it does take, I would argue, a high level of emotional intelligence to recognize where your fear comes from. So, without me actually going to a psychologist or a counselor, for me to self recognize, build up the self confidence, rationalize everything in my life, and then sit here and say to you, you know what, I'm all right with having, you know, unexpected seizure. And when I speak to, doctors and GPs and psychologists, and I've had an assessment recently, they really don't ask the right questions because they don't know enough, and they're using a very standardized model. I would ask you about, okay, so how do you feel? Okay, oh, okay. And they're obviously not in my mind. I know that through time and all the times I've had seizures, it really is about taking rest and recognizing that it's okay to have a seizure. I don't need to be embarrassed about it. I don't need to have fear about it. I know my friends worry, and some of you might be watching, but I am a man of control up here because I rationalize my thoughts, because I've learned to do that over time. And I think that's really important. So I'm going to try and cap it off because I don't like talking more than 15 minutes on these live talks. So, why not being confident is a good thing is simply because sometimes we go through life and we hit different points of hidden learning, shall we say, that actually surprise us and strengthen us up. Now, we can fall down 100 times, but the one time we get up and we make a chess move, for instance, in our life, that could be so profound and take us to a new level of learning or a career pathway. So, hoping some of that makes sense. And I got all of this from just watching one of Carl Rogers' counselling sessions. I'm doing my level 3 in counselling skills, and I'm debating whether I'm going to be an active practitioner. And I've told the course vendors this, or I'm just going to use my level 3 as a research purpose. So, and I just thought that would be interesting for some of you that are trying to go through life at the moment. You're at a sticky point and you've got fear, anxiety within you. And we all lose confidence. And I openly admit that I've lost some confidence in areas, but I've grown on the other side, massive confidence. And doing videos like this that I thought like 5-10 years ago I wouldn't be able to have the confidence to come online and do big talks like this, which goes out to a global audience. So anyway, I'm going to shut up now, and I thank you for if you've listened all the way through on this live talk. I hope you have a blessed day, blessed week. This is going out to most of my social media channels except TikTok, which I can't connect at the moment. But anyway, hope you have a great day, a great weekend. I don't know when I'm doing the next live talk because I'm trying to cut back a bit in certain areas. But I wanted to do this particular talk because it was fresh in my mind. And when something is fresh in my mind, I think that's when I perform best. Okay, so my confidence was there. All right. Anyway, thanks, folks. Have a great weekend again, and I'll see you another time.